Hi, my name is Lieven De Couvreur from Howest University in Kortrijk, and the next 10 minutes I'm going to tell you more about how to use rapid co-design for healthcare innovations. I would like to start with a story about Temp 1, which is a graffiti artist from New York. From one day to the other, he got struck by ALS, which forced him to lay in bed all day long. One of the consequences of his disease is that he could not paint any art anymore. But suddenly something unexpected happened. A group of friends gathered together and helped him out to make a DIY eye tracking system. The system consists of a normal computer mouse, an Arduino, and an eye tracking system. This made it possible for him, after 3 years, to paint art again. It was a very interesting project from different aspects. One aspect is that there were no professional designers involved in the design of this product. The second interesting aspect is that after the project, they put all their construction and building plans online and they throw it into the world. So suddenly all over the world, eye tracking or eye writer systems were appearing and adapted. For me as a designer, this was a very interesting phenomenon because it showed the power of a new era in which we are working and can create innovation. Innovation can have a big technology push, but it can also have a big contextual push. This is what we see in the story of Temp 1. Normal people can appropriate normal technology in a totally new, radical and innovative way. Although we have to innovate in complex ecosystems, these DIY techniques can be very interesting to design with people in these systems and solve complex problems. Because innovation in healthcare is always very volatile, uncertain, complex, and has a lot of ambiguity. The key to solve these different aspects is really to design from the inside in the fuzzy front end of your design process. And this we do through prototyping, co-design, and participative design processes. There are two main paradigm shifts that make these techniques even more efficient and productive. One is, of course, the accessibility of production techniques like 3D printers, CNC mirrors, the fablab machines as we know it. And the other technique is, of course, the World Wide Web, which makes knowledge accessible for a variety of people. The combination of these two paradigm shifts give birth to the fablab system that we have today all over the world. A fablab is a small computer-controlled machine room where you have a small set of array of machines which can be used to make almost anything by non-designers. Some examples are 3D printer, CNC mirror, laser cutters, or even small broderie machines. What we see now as a new tendency is that these fab labs are also appearing more and more in hospitals and healthcare environments. Here you see a fab lab in the United States where it is used by nurses to create new innovations on the floor. An extra dimension of fab labs is that when you make something in a fab lab, you can connect with another fab lab on the other side of the world. And this makes it a very interesting distributed system to test out innovations on different locations. So the basic principle is design thinking and is still a very simple methodology that has been for ages around in the world, and it's called reflective practice. But the distributed aspect makes it more and more powerful to use in complex situations. The basic methodology is one of trial and error and gathering goals to different strategies. I will go through some different lessons now that can help you to use these technologies and this methodology in different contexts. So lesson 1 is that rapid co-design is built on different aspects. It's built on local problems used by lead users who bring in the expertise, using in-situ prototyping, which creates low tech for high impact. I give you some examples. Here you see a brace which is designed by a foot surgery, which helps the surgeon to fixate the feet from different patients while operating in a very ergonomical way. Another example is the myoelectric prothese that we designed to help patients to prepare themselves for new prostheses in revalidation centers. This is a small device that is put on a walker designed by a physiotherapist to let people train themselves while using walkers through different programs and different machines. And this is a splint which is redesigned by a healthcare professional. It used to be closed by a lot of laces, but with this system, which is 3D printed, you can close it with one pull on a button. Lesson 2 is there is a potential lead user in each of us, which can be unlocked by matching it with the right prototyping technique. Prototyping is really in the heart of design thinking, because by making ideas tangible, you create a lot of feedback and you build up a lot of knowledge. If you look into co-design processes, we see that it's a very responsive process. You make something, you test it out, you bring it back into reality, you get feedback. So if you want to nurture this process, you need to nurture the speed of prototyping to learn as quick as possible from your direct environment. We use a technique of product hacking, which is a technique where we combine different objects very quickly together and test it out with lead users. It doesn't demand a lot of prototyping skills, it demands a lot of connection skills when you connect different objects with each other. Here you see different designs to grip an info panel on a bed. All of them were made in 5-10 minutes with scrap material, reused things, or buy-offs from the shelf. Or you can use very intuitive materials like Sugru, which can be used by anyone to adapt a product in a certain way. We also use toys, which can be handled by a big audience, because we all played with toys, but they are very powerful in the way they are accessible for people to express themselves and on a very low entry level show what their ideas are. Here you see some examples of adaptations on walkers and cranes. All these techniques can be gathered. As I say, the main important aspects are connecting, transforming, etc. So we make these tools, we call them the maker corners, which have all different aspects in it. These maker corners can be brought to hospitals, healthcare centers, and can be used by healthcare professionals to very quickly materialize their first ideas. We also use maker boards to inspire people with already existing ideas in other areas. So you can shamelessly steal these ideas and bring them back in your context to solve problems on a prototyping level very quickly. Lesson 3 is in situ prototyping always provokes spontaneous reactions. So it's very important that you also think about capturing the feedback of all the stakeholders. Because the feedback is what is the most important aspect of design thinking. It's the feedback that steers the process in different directions. If you get positive feedback, you keep on executing your plans. If you get negative, unexpected feedback, you have to change your plans, change your goals, and you learn from another second double loop learning perspective. A lot of knowledge is called sticky information, as it is more in people and you cannot find it really explicitly in books. But by using prototypes, you evoke reactions and you bring the tacit knowledge from people more in the reality and make it explicit. We can capture information from different perspectives. Capturing is important when you reach out or engage people in your organization. You can use capturing also from the perspective that you really want to define a problem for a more concrete or tangible aspect. But capturing creative processes is also a huge challenge, and also capturing the feedback during a problem-solving process. Capturing is also important to bring out the ideas that you have found and throw them back in your organization through instructables or other problems. Here you see an example to capture ideas or even critiques from healthcare professionals during a design process, where you can really vote on different solutions from problems in one big project. Or you can use the prototypes, of course. When they are very tangible, people can really write the specific details and essential variables on the prototypes, so it becomes very easy to define as a product designer what is really critical to take into account. We also made maker corner or walls so that you can bring solutions or problems into your environment. It's very important to stimulate the culture of design thinking so that people can actually at any time, any moment, give feedback to projects that are in your organization. There are templates that you can fill in, what is positive, what is negative. Mostly the unexpected aspects are the most critical ones that you should take into account. And even vlogging or making small videos are very popular to share stories together around problems and also to trigger new people in your organization to think together with you on these problems. Building a culture of design thinking is actually a behavior change process. So you have to build it up step by step. At a certain moment in the process, you have to connect with external experts, feed them your process, and also communicate them to speed up the innovation and also the viability of different ideas. You can do that in different ways, also from one-day workshops with like hackathons, or you can actually get a designer in-house and start up your own fablab, or you can really think of it as a pet behavior and start with an innovation management process where different employees are already involved with it. And lesson 5, we think that open user innovation is a powerful engine to solve healthcare challenges. It's already used in different areas: nursing, surgery, daycare, rehab. Why is it so interesting? Well, the first reason is that healthcare professionals benefit directly from the adaptations that they create. The second reason is that in the fuzzy frontend, all these ideas appear and companies can actually see which patterns are occurring, and these patterns can become new business models in the next stage. There are two main ways to look at the transfer of these ideas. Some of these ideas will become very typical depending on your organization, but other ideas can also have a mainstream, bigger market. Thanks to these techniques, you get a lot of ideas in your organization and you can filter them out with experts or external people. There is, of course, after you come out with fuzzy frontend, a lot of work to do, still a lot of work to do. You can actually get in contact with external partners, or you can decide to develop the project internally as a spin-in or spin-out. Open user innovation is always a parallel process where you actually combine the user innovation with a production innovation level, and the both are in connection with each other. What is the result? Well, you can keep projects in an open-ended perspective. You only have 1 or 2 products needed in your organization, so you create it or produce it to use it in your own context. The second scenario is that you make a small series. You make 40 or 60 products, and you use them on different locations to develop them more tangible and get more feedback, or you really scale it up to a universal design, industrial product design, and bring it on the market in an extra iteration. Voila, this is my 5 lessons talk to you. I hope you find it interesting. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me.